Hey, so the next thing that we are reviewing, and this should be review, you should have seen this at least in 8th grade, if not more recently than then, is Pythagorean Theorem. So, anybody off the top of their head remember Pythagorean Theorem? Go for it.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
A squared plus B squared equals C squared.
And it only works with right triangles.
You're ahead of me. Okay, so the Pythagorean Theorem only works with right triangles. So that is a triangle that has a right angle, a 90-degree angle in one corner. So that is our theorem, is our formula, our equation essentially. In the Pythagorean Theorem, A and B have to be the legs of the triangle. It doesn't matter which one's A and which one's B. The legs of the triangle are the ones that are attached to the right angle. They're the two sides that make the right angle. And then C is the side opposite the right angle. Anybody remember what that's called?
Hypotenuse.
Yep, the hypotenuse.
I still don't know.
Hypotenuse. Hypotenuse.
Okay.
Okay. We are going to be finding the length of the missing side, and we're going to round to the nearest tenth every time. So that's one number after the decimal place. Sometimes the missing side is the hypotenuse, which that's C. Sometimes it's one of the legs. So we're going to have to be careful with that and make sure that we are solving for the right thing and putting the right things in the right spot. So moving down, these are our two examples. We're going to do 2 together, and then there's 4 on the back for you to do. We've got 6 and 8. Those are both legs of the triangle. I know that they are legs because they are coming off the right angle. Please take 1. Okay, so I'm going to label these with an A and a B. Doesn't matter which one's A, which one's B. I could flip-flop that. And then this hypotenuse is what I'm solving for. I'm going to label that with a C. Okay, I'm going to write down my equation, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. I'm going to plug in the 2 things that I know and solve for the thing that I don't know. So I know A, that's 6. So it'll be 6 squared plus I know B, that's 8. So it's going to be 8 squared. And I don't know C, so that's going to stay C squared. Okay, any questions right now about plugging those things in? Okay, then we are ready to go ahead and start solving. So 6 squared, what does 6 squared mean?
6 times 6.
6 times 6, not 6 times 2. So 6 squared is 36. Plus 8 squared is 64. So we've got 36 plus 64 equals C squared. Then we can add those together. 36 plus 64 is exactly 100. So I've got 100 equals C squared. Hold on, please. Okay, any questions as to what we've done so far?
How do you get 100?
36 plus 64. Yeah. because 64 plus 6 is 70, and then another 30 is 100.
Wow.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
It like doesn't feel like it should work.
Though.
Right, it doesn't feel like it should work, but then you're like, oh, wait, it does. Okay, so we've got 100 equals c squared. The last thing that we need to do to get c by itself is we need to take the square root of both sides, because the opposite of squaring something is the square root. So square root of 100, what number times itself is 100? 10. So we get c equals 10, and then we need to go look and see what our units were here, and we need to label our units down here. So c equals 10 miles. That's our answer.
Not really.
Morning. Annabelle, do you have a note sheet? Okay, take notes with us. All right.
Hey, Carlson.
Click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click, clack, click. It's me, just my dogs. Okay. Any questions right now? All right. What is different about the next triangle?
It's sideways and B's missing this time.
It's sideways and either A or B. It doesn't actually matter. Because so what does matter is that this 20 has to be C. The hypotenuse always has to be C. This can be A or B. It doesn't matter which leg's which. So we'll label this one A and we'll label this one B, but we could flip-flop that as well.
Good to know.
Yeah. As long as you know which side you're solving for, the A and B on the legs are interchangeable. Okay, so we're using the same formula, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. But now, instead of plugging in A and B, we have to plug in A and C. So A is 9. I've got 9 squared. Plus B, I haven't solved for. And then C squared is 20 squared. Okay. 9 squared is 9 times 9, which is 81.
Wait.
Yeah, once you've squared it, you don't have to square it again. Plus B squared.
Nothing.
And then 20 times 20 is 400. Okay. Then, in order to get B squared by itself, we got to move the 81 to the other side of the equation. So I'm going to subtract 81. I get B squared equals 400 minus 81 is 319. Okay. Our last problem ended up perfectly. This problem is not going to end up so perfectly because 319 is not a perfect square. So we're going to take the square root of both sides. We're going to have to use our calculator. So in your calculator, you have to hit the second button in the top left, and then square root is above x squared. So square root of 319. And then we have to round to one number after the decimal place. So we have to decide, does this stay 17.8 or does it round up to 17.9? 17.9. And the reason why it rounds up to 0.9 is because this 6 that's after the 8 is 5 or higher. So our answer is 17.9. And then we need a label for units. So we look back and we see that it's centimeters. 17.9 centimeters. Okay. Any questions right now?